Literally.
Ready?
They picked up homes.
We are live. Good evening. This is the Newmarket School Board meeting. Tonight is September 15th, 2016. It is just past 7 o'clock. I'd invite everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody and let you know that Mr. Kennison is traveling, as is Mr. Zink. So we are short 2 board members, but I appreciate Ms. Shelton and Ms. McKinney joining us so that the 3 of us make a quorum, and here we go. It's a short agenda. Hopefully we'll whip right through tonight. I'd invite first public comment, if there is any this evening. Okay, we won't waste any more time. We'll move right on, because Julia's with us, and we're excited about that, and so we'd let her take it and run.
All right, so next week is homecoming week, and technically it starts on Friday because we have banner making after school, and then Monday there's a whole week of events. Monday and Friday we have an assembly. Then Tuesday we have scarecrow making out in front of the school. And for dress-up days, Monday, you're going to be somewhere over the rainbow, so you're going to wear your class color.
Oh, dear.
And not to mention the theme is there's no place like homecoming. So Tuesday, there's a twister coming, so you're going to wear mix match. Wednesday, which is which, so you're going to twin with someone. Thursday, lions and tigers and bears, oh my, dressed like an animal. And then Friday is always dress as your lip sync. There is also a parent-teacher conference event at this high school next Wednesday, and next Friday is a half day. For the elementary school, they also have the half day Friday, and their picture day is tomorrow. And they have several field trips coming up. The 5th grade's going to UNH Discovery Day, and the 4th grade is going to Great Bay Discovery Day too. So that's my report.
That's excellent. Thank you. Half day. I got to. Is that on the calendar?
I know.
Oh, and for sports, forgot to mention this, but cross country, their home meet is tomorrow, so everyone should go and support them. Boys are 2-2-2, or 2-2-1 for their record, and their next game is Monday against PCA, and it's away. The girls are now 5-0. And their next game is also Monday against PCA. So,
and I can add that the elementary school cross-country team had their first meet yesterday, I think, and there are 52 runners.
Oh.
And we had 1 boy and 1 girl in the top 10.
Wow.
Excellent.
With the hundreds of runners.
That's
Amazing.
Excellent. Wow. Thank you. Excellent. So, calendar. Anything else for the calendar?
Bingo starts October 15th,
October 15th.
which you will all be thrilled to hear about that for the next year.
I'm sure we will talk before the night's over, but we want to make sure everybody knows there's
several events coming up at the end of the month.
Some important stuff. I'll let you then. Why don't
Okay.
you go ahead, because you'll cover all of that. in
Well, I
addition to
can do that
everything else
now,
you've got.
or we could let our students.
Oh, you want to
who
do
are
that? That
here-
way I was going to try to keep you all night. You know that, don't you? Please, go ahead. I'll let you make introductions.
Hi, I'm Brenda, and we are the Newmarket SALT team. And SALT stands for Student Athlete Leadership Team, and we're made up of student athletes. And our job in the school is to be good role models and set good examples for everyone.
A couple weeks ago, we had a presentation done by the Life of an Athlete program, which is a program that SALT takes part in. We go to their conferences, and they'll teach us how to become better leaders. And this presentation we had a couple weeks ago talked about nutrition and how athletes, it's really important for them to eat well, sleep a lot, and just be as healthy as they can to prevent injuries and so they perform their best.
And what they focused on was nutrition, and we learned about how the food we should eat the day of a game or a meet. And what they stressed on was having complex carbs 4 to 6 hours before. And then we should have protein throughout the day, especially an hour before. And then right before the game, we should have like just a light snack, something that will energize us before. And then after the game, an hour after, we should have a full meal with carbs, fruits, vegetables, and protein. And what they really stressed on was being hydrated throughout the day, because that's something that really makes a difference in an athlete's performance.
Last spring, we were also able to go to a leadership conference in Concord, which helped us become better leaders, leading us through exercises that will help build trust among your teammates and help them make better decisions. And
do you guys have any questions for us?
Could you introduce yourselves?
I'm Brenda. I'm a junior, and I play softball and basketball.
My name's Will Perry. I play hockey.
My name's Olivia. I'm a cross-country, indoor, and outdoor track athlete.
I'm Reagan. I'm a junior and I play basketball and softball.
I'm also a junior. My name's Anthony, and I'm captain on the basketball team.
Excellent.
And some of our goals this year for the SALT team is we're really trying to get as many fans to the games and to the meets as we can. So we've been trying to think of like unique ways to do that, and one of the ways is we're going to have like contests on who can bring the most fans to a game. And we're also hosting a bonfire to kick off playoff games, so that will be in October. And we're also going to try and get a PA system for the games and meets.
Great.
Take a picture. Take a picture every time get everybody involved. Like, you know, if you're playing hoops, have everybody flood onto the bleachers in one place and take a big picture of everybody that came. The first time you'll have a picture with 20 people. The next time, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it would be really cool, and put that out there. Don't we have a school website, or Facebook? I mean, you could talk about, you know, as individuals, you could try to pump that. I just think
Yeah.
it would be cool if we could let folks know how we're doing. Get more people involved in whether you are getting lots of fans out or not.
Yeah, we have a Mules Minute, which we're going to try and get the sports players on, and like the game standings and stuff like that. And we're going to do like an athlete of the week.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Way to go.
And how are you
Nice.
going to raise the money to get the PA system? Is this, you're going to do it through foods and baked goods? And
Well, SALT has some money in our account. We do surveys after every sports season. So if you get a certain amount of team, like if the whole softball team does a survey, you get a certain amount of money for the whole team doing it. So actually this past year, I think we had like the most surveys.
1,800.
Yeah, we got $1,800 for just doing surveys.
Nice.
In the surveys, they ask you about like your drug use, alcohol use, sleep, and nutrition. And the surveys have recently showed the amount of alcohol abuse all around New Hampshire has really gone down, which is great news.
That's excellent. Hey, how big is SALT? Are you SALT? Are there more members of your team?
15 of us.
Excellent.
And who runs it now?
Mr. Hayes is the advisor.
And the president is Jasmine Sensenbath.
Excellent.
You guys represent really well. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And feel free to stay. Or leave.
We'll make a break. Have a great night, you guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll allow superintendent's report.
Well, it's always a treat to follow a group of students, so I appreciate their attendance and their advocacy for student athletes, and be great to share some of that nutrition information with our elementary school athletes. So we'll see if we can make some connections there. We have received all of our state assessment results, so our SAT results were kind of the last ones to trickle in, so staff are in the process of reviewing those, and our data manager is working with teams of staff, and our administrators have spent some time at faculty meetings beginning to sort of comb through those and see what we can learn from them. We, on a very different note, we received notice yesterday of our retirement rate increase for fiscal year 2018. So that is something that will definitely impact our budget as we move into that season, next month. We are in the final stages of hiring a business administrator and town finance director, so we hope the board is set for a special business meeting on Monday to hopefully make that appointment. We have coming up several events. Julia outlined a number of the student-focused events, so we also have some community events, and we can talk about those further when we get a little bit down the agenda. But on the 24th of September, we do have a facilities forum for the public, where we'll be looking at our current conceptual plans for an addition and renovation at the elementary school, as well as an addition renovation at the junior senior high and a new building option for the junior senior high. We'll also have some preliminary cost estimates to share at that meeting, and we'll talk about things like what phasing might look like for these different options in terms of what the building process would look like in time frames. So it's an important day to receive some information about what the possibilities are, and we definitely are looking for as much public input as we can get.
What time is that?
That is at 10 a.m. at the junior senior high. And you can stop over at some homecoming weekend games, I think, that same day. But there will be tours of both buildings available at 9:15 prior to the forum, as well as following the forum, which we estimate will be at about 11:30 a.m. that day. So please spread the word, encourage people to come out. I know there are some flyers around, and it's been shared through the town website, our website, newsletters, and we'll continue press releases, so we'll continue to try to amplify that. But if people have questions or need more information, they should contact us. We do expect that childcare will be provided that day as well. So if you're juggling those young people, don't worry, they can come. On the 27th of September, the following week, on the Tuesday evening, we're hoping to do a community visioning forum to talk about what folks are looking for in education for Newmarket as we move forward. So trying to project kind of 5 years out, what do we want to see in Newmarket from an education standpoint? And again, we're going to be circulating that far and wide. You don't have to be a parent. You don't have to be a student, but they are welcome, and we want to welcome all of our community members to join us for that evening and share their thoughts and ideas. It does take a community to educate children and young adults. And then on the 29th, that Thursday evening, there will be a presentation with Travis Mills is coming that evening. So I know that tickets are for sale tonight. Were for sale this evening at the elementary school open house. They will be available at the high school, junior, senior high open house next week. And there's also information on our website as well as the junior, senior high website about that event. And I think those are some of our highlights. It's great, for school finally to have been in session now for a couple of weeks. I think when I was last here, we only had a couple of days behind us, and Julia wasn't with us, but we now are up and running, and it's great sort of getting around to the schools and seeing what's happening in classrooms. I think you can see at the elementary school, particularly routines established. The junior, senior high, you can see the workloads and expectations beginning to step up. So thanks to our teachers and staff for their great work, and we'll see you back here in a couple weeks.
Excellent. I continue to remind folks that the agenda carries continuing items. Sometimes we have reports and sometimes we don't, but because they're important to us, and we keep them there to be mindful of them and to make them available for discussion by the public. Under our continuing items, shared services.
So again, and Michelle might want to speak, but the subcommittee that had been working on shared services attended last week's town council meeting to report out on the discussions that had been held at the subcommittee level. I would say that was the first conversation at the town council meeting about that since the committee had their first report out. We were able to do ours a little bit earlier, the end of August. So I think the town council is still in discussion mode about those pieces. Again, on the school front, we have adopted a job description and are moving forward. We've had a joint hiring process, town folks involved with school folks in reviewing applications and interviewing candidates for the finance position. So we look forward to making that nomination on Monday and seeing how things forge ahead.
So I wasn't at the meeting, but I've had the opportunity to watch the meeting.
Yep.
Actually, I didn't watch the whole meeting because I was most interested in that particular discourse. Let me say, or let me ask this, or let me say this and then correct me. We need a business administrator.
We do.
We have contemplated and discussed the shared service model and the possibility that a business administrator could take on responsibilities that had heretofore been a finance director position on the town. The conversations that we've been having have not been that we would bill the town, it's that we are the same tax base, it's in our budget. The person that we hire hopefully would have a skill set that would allow them to take on both roles.
Right.
And there might be changes in what some of the other duties of other people are, et cetera, but, and when you reported out, the suggestion was that the contractor that is working with the town now will continue, because we're all headed right into budget season,
Yeah.
the town's already in it, in their development process, right? Straight through, at least through the annual meeting time.
Yeah.
And that there could be some transition, if that's what the town council decides they want to do and participate. But we're going to move ahead because we need to get that in place.
Budget is upon us.
Okay. So good. So really, as I tried to wrap my head around the questions and answers that happened at the council table, and then remembered our conversation when Tony and Dale and Steve joined us, I don't want to, it's certainly not all, nothing is lost. There was no great concern that came out of that dialogue.
No,
They
absolutely
haven't actually, they've got a more formal process. They've got to make sure they contemplate the charter and the
Yes.
administrative rules or whatever the
Ordinances.
ordinances that, but we're not talking about any wholesale changes until sometime after the first of the year, so they've
That's
got time to
correct.
work on that.
Absolutely.
And we time was of the essence on our side, because we
Right.
have the vacancy in the business administrator piece, and so we've proceeded under Meredith's lead to fill that void. And then, because it would be completely unconscionable to have someone come in and say, you're going to do both things as of October 1 with 2 budgets to prepare and all these 87 other things. So I think that it makes
They're doing
sense to have the tiered approach as they determine steps forward. But it was an interesting meeting, but I think it was a positive one overall.
They've been involved. I mean, Steve reported that he's, the town.
Oh, absolutely.
Steve and others on the town, they've been involved in the hiring process, so
Yeah.
they'll be able to vouchsafe the pluses or minuses of whether, okay. good.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Good, okay. So the
So I
facility.
think you gave a good summary of where we stand. I think facilities, as the subcommittee had discussed, would be sort of a later conversation, in that, the town had a police chief hiring to contemplate.
Right.
It also has a recreation director hiring that it will need to contemplate, coming up in short order. And so the intent was we would move through police chief and finance hiring pieces with some time for consideration of a facilities piece, with contemplating that hiring sort of happening before the end of the fiscal year. Well, not the fiscal year, but the calendar year.
So I would offer up a thought, which was, as I listened to that, I know that was, the whole conversation about facilities seemed to be a bit premature because the town administrator was not really presenting that topic at the time to the council.
Yeah.
And the council didn't have any paper in front of them that spoke to that.
Yeah.
It's worth at least throwing it out for me, just not a task that anybody has to chase, but if it becomes clear over the course of the next, it's now mid-September, right? If over the next month and a half or so, with multiple meetings of the council, or with the administrator taking the temperature of the councilors and kind of, if it looks like the council isn't going to find its way to that decision, we do still have those dollars, and rather than a hire, we could certainly contemplate a property management firm or somebody that we could contract
Correct.
with for 6 months to come in.
And I will say, Nate, I think that Dale and Tony and Al and I have established a good working relationship. And I think that if it were getting to that point, we would know and we
Be
would
able
act
to say
accordingly.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a very positive working relationship on all our parts. And people have been asking the good questions and seeking the answers and trying to do what's best for the town on all sides of it. So I think that'll continue.
And I think an important distinction there is that the school board has had the opportunity already to contemplate the hiring of a facilities director. That was
Right.
something you proposed as part of your operating budget for this fiscal year, whereas that was not the case on the town side. and while the subcommittee certainly agrees that there's a need there and a need to examine those possibilities, again, if it's not something that is able to come together over the next couple of months, you're absolutely correct. We have some other options.
And it might not be unthinkable that we contract for someone as a vendor, as a service.
That's right.
Put them to work assisting us as we move forward, hopefully with our facilities conversation. But if we can affect that contract, maybe somewhere shortly after the beginning of the year, maybe that person could help and with evidence show the council some of the value that they can bring, even if it's, councilors certainly can see the value of having somebody, I'm sure. It's just coming up with how to appropriate it and so on and so forth.
And I think for us, as Meredith said, we've been talking about that concept of the facilities person for almost a year at this point. So I think we're further down the road, and I think when you talk with people individually on the council and say, these are the benefits that we see, having someone, a high-level expert to deal with these issues that we've been sort of randomly doing for a while.
Yep.
Service gets better, efficiency gets better, all those things happen, and people seem to buy in with it. But we'll just see what happens.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate the work of the committee and the administration. You guys it was clear that there had been a lot of work done, and it was amply clear as well there's a lot of work to be done. So I appreciate everything everybody's doing. Great. Anything else? Anything else with shared service? Go home.
Thank you, Julia.
Lip sync.
Oh, hey,
Rehearsal.
lip sync. Let's go.
Very important.
It's important.
Thank you, Julia.
Facilities.
So there's some information in your packet this evening, which includes some revised drawings, and that will remain a work in progress for at least, through the forum and after the forum as we contemplate what the best considerations are for the community with respect to facilities options. These most recent drawings reflect some focused conversation among the administrators and myself, kind of sitting down, talking with architects and Ekman, looking at those conceptual drawings we had before based on the ed specs, and looking at how things fit together and where maybe we had miscounted or just not missed some details. So we've also needed to kind of consider some site factors. They reflect that information as well. We know that there are some major site impacts at both of our buildings with respect to septic lines that run through the properties, as well as electrical and water. And so being mindful of those pieces, we've looked at sort of taking best advantage of the site spaces with the least disruption to program, first and foremost, but also to those utilities, because the more we disrupt those utilities, the more expensive it will be. So these drawings reflect all of that work that's been going on behind the scenes based on the review of the civil engineer who came in. And on Monday at our joint meeting, we'll be reviewing these drawings in some detail, again looking at the overall site plans in some detail, which include things like parking, on-site traffic patterns on-site with bus loops and parent traffic. I think people are aware we generally could use some improvements in that area in particular on both sites, as well as, again, the phasing, which has to do with how do we manage school in an active construction site in a safe way. And so there are considerations like where would the portables be located during construction on the elementary school site. So some complex thinking going on behind the scenes, and good work, but we look forward to Monday's conversation, sort of reviewing all of that detail, and then sharing that again publicly for a second time on Saturday, the 24th. And there may be some revisions that occur between Monday night's meeting based on the input of the facilities committee and the conversation that takes place that night before the final public presentation on the 24th. And again, that will be an opportunity to gather feedback and reflect on that, we hope, at a meeting the following week. We are pushing timelines at this point. We're going to be asking the board to make some decisions probably in the next month and a half And then if the board makes a decision to move forward with some combination of options, we'll be beginning to draft warrant language, shape up final cost estimates, really do some heavy work on the facilities front. So I really appreciate the work of everyone who's been involved. The committee has worked really hard putting all this information together, and it's not going to be easier over the next month and a half. There's a lot of detail work yet to do.
Two comments. One, I would say thank you. One of the things I was most eager for or concerned about was that although you had made yourself available over the spring, there had been a whole lot of work go on for a year plus, and I hope that there was an opportunity for our new educational leader to have some influence, have some conversation with the team, and have an impact, and, vision, goals. We got some great people that were involved, but it was important to me that you be able to take a swing at that and be involved too. And it sounds like what we're looking at now reflects some of your opportunity to do that.
Absolutely.
I just want to, because of what I do, just the other day, I pulled an amortization for bonding. The bond bank, the New Hampshire Municipal Bond Bank, which is the easiest vehicle for us to do bonding. Their June 16 sale went out at 2.5%. I think when we ran numbers 2 years ago, whenever we had the last effort,
Right.
I want to say that the numbers we were talking about 4.5%. I might be wrong, it might have been less than that, but 2.5 is the lowest I've had the opportunity to to present to the public for bonding in 15 years. So,
It's good.
that's a good
It's a
thing.
good-
Now is a good time, that market, and there's lots of folks with better crystal balls than mine, but I'm not hearing the things that would lead me to think the Federal Reserve was going to bang those numbers up. I think that, we're probably talking about the same kinds of rates in the January and January and June 17 sales. So, if we move forward, good news.
So that would save, looking at it.
It doesn't
if
change
we
what the
could-
warrant article looks like
Right.
necessarily, but it certainly reduces
change
the
the
long-term
interest.
cost and the tax impact, because if the interest costs are lower, then the total amount to be raised each year to make the bond payments is lower, so.
And I will say that one thing the board might wish to consider that I've given some thought to might be having bond counsel come and present to the board, just some information about how that process works and timelines and some of that forecasting information. If that would be helpful, we can arrange that for a future meeting.
As I'm a novice, I would appreciate that, just to have that in my head as we move forward.
Great.
Excellent. Saturday, September 24th, 10 a.m. That's
Junior,
a
senior high.
Junior, senior high, an important opportunity for the public.
And just one other note on facilities while I think of it. We've been collecting questions at public sessions and trying to gather information. We'll do that on Saturday, the 24th as well, but we're revamping a website that will be dedicated to facilities information, so it will be easy to find and easier to navigate, we hope, but that will have frequently asked questions that hopefully will help people quickly and efficiently get to the information on the topics that have come up the most frequently.
Excellent. All of which connects to communication, which we've just done such a great job of by comparison in the last few months. Thank you, everyone who's been involved.
Meredith sent out the letter this past week, which was great.
Yep.
And so I think, just building upon that, the small little ripple that's been made as we get to this point, because getting the information out is key to this whole process. So anything we can do, and Meredith, I'll help you in any way that I can, that you see fit, to keep it moving forward.
And I think as we're entering budget season as well, that will be equally important, facilities, but our overall budget picture as well. So continuing to keep people informed and involved, and again, highlighting the education, which is the important work we do
And
every day.
I think, the thing that, again, having you here has been such a breath of fresh air for me, but just, the whole concept of the visioning experience that's happening for the community, to really get the community involved in some exercises that have been done by the educators, what do we want these schools to look like, and how do we all work together as a community to get us there? I think that is why we're all sitting here doing whatever it is we're doing, and so it's very exciting to be a part of that too.
You know, it's one of the things that we talked about, or was talked about a couple of years back, leading up to and in the aftermath, if you will, of our last facilities vote. We talked about the value of community. We talked about the impact on the downtown businesses. We talked about when our kids and our families are here and they're out for the basketball game, or they're fans at the play or the drama presentation, then they go to dinner downtown, et cetera. For me, it was very interesting to hear a lot of those comments made. I think that that's one of the things that we can do a better job of. The council, the SALT team was here tonight talking about their goal to get more fans out. I think I heard people say, and I might have said as well, in Newmarket, when you go to the basketball game, it's not just you and me there watching our kids. It's that couple and those folks who don't have kids here any longer, or maybe never did, but they come out because the Mules are playing ball tonight. And so I think as we contemplate communicating about all of the things that we're doing here, one of the other things we can do is continue to strive to communicate about all of the things that are happening in the buildings,
Yep.
what our kids are doing,
Yep.
and invite folks to become a part of that, whether it means showing up wearing the white shirt or the red shirt or the, whatever the symbol is that night to startle the opponent. Let's all get involved, right? So thank you guys for everything that you're doing. I appreciate it. We have minutes in the packet. Were we all there? 1, 2, 3. We were.
We were.
It was just, okay. So we'll have a quorum. The minutes of September 1st, 2016 are in the packet. Seek a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Did anybody see anything?
I didn't see anything.
Jen, as always,
I
outstanding.
saw the time that we left, and I was like, really?
I have a motion from Ms. Shelton, a second from Ms. McKinney to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Then we are unanimous. Under personnel, that which was tentative, I know we've seen an agenda for Monday for a special meeting, so
That's correct.
we're going to let that ride.
Yes.
But we do have a nomination.
We do. We are nominating Jen Farias for the position of reading interventionist. Jen has a master's in psychology from Southern New Hampshire University and a bachelor's in physical education, and she has been working with us. She was a long-term substitute in special education last year, and has already begun the year working for us as a substitute, but we are excited to have her step into this role.
Okay. I seek a motion to accept the nomination of the superintendent.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Ms. McKinney, a second from Ms. Shelton. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Then we're unanimous. The manifests, we did have some tonight.
I
We
have
signed.
them.
Thank you.
I move that we accept the payroll and AP manifests for a total of $696,907.53.
Yes.
Second.
Second.
Have a motion from Ms. Shelton, second from Ms. McKinney to approve the manifest as presented this evening. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
One more?
Sounds
Aye.
good to me.
Any opposition? We're unanimous.
Oh, goodness.
Anything else that we should, hey, just a couple quick things. It's been in the packet, I've got a copy. Did we all get this in the mail? Did you guys get the School Boards Association resolutions?
I do not, but I was going to ask
They-
about that.
They may have been in the last packet.
So, the New Hampshire School Boards Association, of which we are a member as a board, has an annual conference, an annual delegate assembly, they call it, in January. And one of the things that they do each year is they review their policies, resolutions, and statements of belief, and they contemplate new resolutions that might be added to. And at their January meeting, they seek to re-adopt with any revisions or amendments and and vote on, discuss, battle out, and vote on new things. At this time of year, they always put out a call for any resolutions that school board members think ought to be considered. So I'll make sure that this gets out. Why don't you go ahead and take a peek? You guys can, matter of fact, do you have another one?
I do not have another one with me,
Master?
I don't think.
All right, then let's keep,
I just-
I'll keep,
send
You
that
want to keep the
in-
hard copy?
no, go ahead. There's a hard copy in here.
Okay.
That one came to me in the mail. Maybe it's because I'm on the list as the delegate. that
I
went-
got one.
Did you get one, maybe? So go ahead, take that. I've skimmed through it, and I read it last year.
Okay.
I've never had a board that I've worked with or been on actually send along resolutions, but it's always interesting if you take a few minutes and read through some of them to see what the School Boards Association as a statewide entity has or takes as a position on some
Right.
matters like funding, school building aid, among other things. So if certainly anybody had anything that they thought ought to be on the radar of the School Boards Association and we should consider, vote on, and send the resolution up for their consideration, we just need to do that by the third week of October.
I know that the legislature will be considering some action around school building aid. It might be appropriate under the circumstances for the board to consider that as a
Yeah.
possible area for resolution.
Absolutely. Anything else that should be before us this evening? No reason for non-public? Hearing nothing else, then I accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Ms. McKinney, second from Ms. Shelton. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're unanimous and out at 7:40. Thank you, folks.
Thanks.